Hi everyone, Paul here again. Some of you will know I recently bought a DLT-19 Heavy Blaster Rifle from ProCoPrint3D. Had a number of questions about the functionality and things of it, so I thought I'd do a video and show everybody how it works, how it tears down, how it goes back together, all the functional parts. So here is that ProCoPrint DLT-19 Heavy Blast Rifle. There we go. I'll start by saying what I like about it and some bits that I've noticed that are not quite right. What I love about it is it's an exceptionally good resin copy of an MG34. It's, I believe, is the moulds for all of the resin parts on this are taken directly from an original MG34. Certainly this has all of the World War II German markings on it. You can see most of those in the resin casts, and it's a beautifully cast, crisply cast piece. It's lovely, and the level of functionality on it for a resin cast piece is brilliant. Bits that are not quite right, as a DLT-19, the cooling fins, there are 4 on each section. So this aft barrel section and the front barrel section, there's 4 cooling fans on each of those. Now I believe the originals had 6 in slightly different patterns in both sections. This has 4. At a casual glance it does, but if you want it even more accurate, then you're going to have to put some more T-track on. I've got some on order, so I'm going to do that. These T-track pieces also on the originals are held on with a piece of wire which goes around the ends of them and then is twisted to keep them in place. They're not very evenly spaced. I guess they probably moved about during filming as well. So that's one thing that you might want to look at if you get one of these. The other thing is this section here. It's worth mentioning at this point, the receiver on this is a solid cast piece. So from the buttstock to where it joins with the barrel, that's all one solid piece. The trigger moves and the charging handle moves, but none of the other pieces on that section move. Now, I think for trooping, that's brilliant. It's far less to go wrong, basically. And when you're trooping, does it really matter that it doesn't open and have working bits inside? I don't think so. So yeah, back to this bit. This piece on the original rifles is a 2-piece aluminium box which was made to fit over the feed tray. Basically on the real gun, you've got a gap all the way through the gun there, which is where the ammunition belt comes in and the bullets feed into the gun. So to cover that for A New Hope, they made up a 2-piece aluminium box that fitted on there. Now the box that went on is actually a slightly different size to the one that ProCoPrint have put on here. Theirs is a fraction too deep and it's not quite as long as it should be. And again, it's a relatively easy fix. I've got some sheet aluminium on the way. I'm going to make up the 2-piece box as it goes on the originals, and then that will just sit over the top of this box. I've got to cut a little bit off the bottom, I think, and I need to make a slot across the top just so that box will slot in. But then that's pretty well done. Mine also, this little disc here is another prop department added greebly. On the originals it looks to be about 1 inch in diameter, and it doesn't have a step on it. It's just a very, very flat cone shape with a hole in the middle. Again, it looks to be made of aluminium. this is the nearest I can find at the moment. As soon as I find something better, this piece will be coming off and a new one will be going on. So yeah, that's all the things that I would change from it out of the box. Now this one I have done a paint job on, so it's my usual paint job of didn't use a primer on this one because this one came from ProCoPrint already printed in a sort of semi-gloss black. So I used that as a priming coat, just rub that back to key it in for new paint. It's then had a couple of coats of Halford satin black, and then dry brushed with Tamiya flat aluminium, and over the top of all of that a coat of MIG wash, and then a couple of coats of flat clear coat from Tamiya just to protect the surface and to dull it down a little. That's my usual paint job. Anybody that's seen any of my other guns will know that. So let's get on to the interesting bit, and let's show you how, first of all, how this breaks down for transport. Whatever. It actually breaks down exactly the same way as an MG34 would. So, if we have a look at the back of the buttstock, there's a latch here. So you press that latch in, turn it through 90 degrees, and the buttstock comes off. That's exactly what you would find on an MG34. On a 34 there's a second catch here which allows you to then take this end cap off and the buffer spring comes out and the buffer assembly. That doesn't work on this because obviously the receiver is one piece. The next part would be the charging handle here moves, but it has a locking latch. So up here on the underneath of the barrel, there's another spring-loaded latch. You press that in, the cocking lever will then move back out. If you want to, you can actually remove the cocking lever altogether. That happens by pulling it all the way back. If I get this right. The back end will then slide out. You move it down a little bit further and the front end has some catches on it as well which slide in. So that's all removable for transport as well. Now, the MG34 has a quick change barrel system, and this being direct copy has exactly the same quick change barrel system. So if we have a look at this side of the gun, there's a latch here, another spring-loaded latch. If you press that, that opens up the quick change barrel system. You can then twist the barrel. On the real gun, you then remove the barrel, which I'm going to do because it tends to slide out anyway. So the barrel is a separate part on this DLT-19. Some lovely markings even on the barrel. It really is a very, very faithful copy of an MG34. I'll pop that up on my desk for a moment. Now, on the original MG34 you'd then have to press this button. This bit and this doesn't actually work, so this is just friction fitted onto there. So now our receiver and pistol grip section is completely free. The pistol grip, the trigger works by the way as well. Okay, so I think that would basically be how I would transport it. I may not even take the stock off, I might just transport it in 3 pieces as the barrel shroud, the receiver and the barrel. If we move on to this section, there's some interesting parts on here. The rear sight flips up and it doesn't have the catch, but the elevation is adjustable on that rear sight, which is nice. The front sight also, it's a flip up front sight, so that flips up, which is nice. This section on the front of the barrel is actually a spring-loaded clip which is designed to keep the flash holder in place. Now, the flash holder on these doesn't screw on very tightly. The reason for that is that between the flash hider, just unscrew this, so between the flash hider and where the barrel is in the end, on the real gun, because it's a blowback mechanism, the barrel is blown back by gases from the release of the bullet. So this actually has what's known as a gas trap that sits in the flash hider, and that helps trap gas and push the barrel backwards. And because it's using gas from the propellant of the bullet, it gets dirty, so you need to be able to get at it in order to clean it on a regular basis. And because of that, you don't actually want the flash hider to be screwed on tight, but you do need it to stay in place. So this little spring-loaded catch acts on these grooves in the back of the flash hider. Once it's screwed on, that just holds it in place. This one didn't actually come spring-loaded. I've had to put the spring in, but that's a fairly easy procedure. It does move when you get it, but it needed the spring adding, so I did that. The bipod, a couple of people have asked me about the bipod. They've seen pictures of it with the bipod open and closed, and have said, is it a bipod or is it two bipods, one open and one closed? It's actually a fully functional MG34 bipod copy. So the bipod is held in place by these little rings which latch over a latch, and I believe the original bipods are spring loaded, so I've actually put springs into the legs too, which I believe the originals had. If you see pictures of these being carried with the bipod open, or the bipod not on the latch, you'll always see that the legs are open like this. They don't hang with the legs closed very often. You don't see that. So my guess is, I'm not sure, but that they probably had a spring in them that opened them as soon as you took them off the latch. Makes sense in terms of using the bipod as well. So this one does that. It also has the adjuster. Now this adjusts a little bit the width of the legs. You might just be able to see them moving up there. Yeah, it twists like the original as well. Yep, so that adjusts the width of the legs basically. All functions. Now, as it comes from ProCoPrint, this piece is all black resin, and quite frankly it's not strong enough to do the job. So I cut the black resin threads off. You'll notice there's a nut let into the bottom of this frame, so I let in a nut, and then a screw that fits that nut got glued into the handle piece, and now it's got metal threads. It's much easier, much stronger. So yeah, to take the bipod off, you have to put up the front sight, rotate it round on its ring, and the whole thing comes off. Again, if you want to take that off for transport, you can. Yeah. I think that's probably about it in terms of the functionality. So put it back together. We'll put the bipod on. So the bipod just sits in its ring and then rotates round into place. To put it back up, you just latch these little rings over the latch. Doesn't always go right. Bit fiddly, that bit. Okay, so that's the bipod back on and deployed. Barrel slides in. These lugs on the end fit into two recesses in the end of the barrel shroud. The two pieces slot together and then you twist them and you hear the click. There's a little click there. I'll do that again. That's the latch on this side engaging. That's basically the rifle together. If you've taken the charging handle out, that needs to go back in. So you position the front, fit the back in, and it slides in its track again. Now I always move that up to its front position and put the latch on it. And then the last part, buttstock, goes on at 90 degrees. There's a little click when it gets to its correct position, and that's locked in place. And there's your DLT-19, completely reassembled. I think it's fantastic, this version. I love the way that it assembles and disassembles like a real MG34. I think that's fantastic. The working bipod is a nice bonus, if maybe a little fragile in places, but basically I love this. It's a great replica, actually, of either an MG34 or a DLT-19 Heavy Blaster Rifle. So there you go, that's my ideas, thoughts on the ProCoPrint DLT-19 Heavy Blaster Rifle. Really nice model, recommend it. Yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you've gotten something from the video, and I'll see you again soon.